this is about student services. There are a lot of student services here at Marietta High School, and these are flyers that are posted all over the school. Most of the teachers, I believe, have them in their classrooms. We have them all over the counseling office. If you need to get in touch with someone, whether it's someone in the Student Life Center or if it is someone in the counseling office, if you're wanting to meet with Miss Nikisha Wilson about YAP or work-based learning, all you have to do is see this slide or see the handout that's in your teacher's rooms. You can make an appointment with whoever you need to see. And that way you can get that going for you for maybe next semester or even next year. All right, what am I doing wrong? You got to click it. I'll let you click it. Closer to the thing. There you go. All right. I'm Ms. Smith. I am one of the counselors. I am the counselor for the alphabet of H through LA. I also work with dual enrollment students, and I'm also the director of MESH, which is our night school. Ms. Espinoza is our lead counselor, and she's doing a great job this year leading us. She works with students A through BA and then the ESOL students. Ms. Baumforth is new this year with us. She came up from the middle school. She works with students BE through G. If you know Mr. Butler, he was in the Student Life Center last year, but he's been with us for several years, and he's back up in the counseling office. He has LA through Rivas, and then Mr. Delancey takes the Reeve through the Z's. So if you need us, we're up in the counseling suite up on A Hall. I'm sure everybody knows where that's at, close to the nurses station. All right, graduation credits. Here you are your junior year, so you should be getting really close to having these. Maybe you're only lacking what you need for senior year. You have to have those 4 English, 4 math, 4 science, 3 social studies. You've got to have the PE and the health. You also have to have 3 CTAE, foreign language or fine arts classes, and then you have to have 4 other electives. Now, there's a little bit of a change this year because this year we've moved away from American literature, which was 11th grade lit, being the end of course test, to it being 10th grade lit. So you as juniors who are taking American lit or the IB lit that's the same one or the AP lit that's the same one, you're not going to have that EOG end of course test this year. So you've kind of getting off easy. So it's moved down to 10th grade. There's a little bit of wiggle room now. If you were to take let's say a college English 1101, that could be used as your 11th grade literature now instead. It could also be used as your 12th grade literature. So there's a lot of wiggle room now with those things in the area of English. Down in the health and personal fitness, if you have taken 3 years of ROTC, that can carry over and make that your personal fitness or your health class. Same thing for a varsity sport or marching band. If you have 2 years of those, you can get the personal fitness credit without actually having to take that class because you're working out with the team or with the band. I believe that's it. All right, dual enrollment. There are lots of different avenues for dual enrollment now. We work primarily with 3 different colleges. We work with Chattahoochee Tech, Georgia Highlands, and Kennesaw State. Those are just the local ones. If you were to want to do, say, Middle Georgia, I do have 1 or 2 students who are doing Middle Georgia. They researched that all on their own and brought it to me. They've worked with the people there to get the classes. It's about the same, but you just kind of have to take a little more initiative on your part. Dual enrollment allows for you as a student at Marietta High School to go to school, both at high school and college at the same time, and it's being paid for by the state. It gets everything from your mandatory fees to your tuition to your books. So it's a really good way to get college credit and high school credit at the same time. And what is really great about it is if, let's say you're taking English 1101, which is the first English, that whole credit is in 1 semester. You're not having to go take half of it in the first part of the semester, and then the second semester you take the other half. You get the whole credit in 1 semester. So it builds those credits up quite quickly. The goal of dual enrollment is to actually increase your ability to go on further, to have credits before you actually graduate high school, so it makes it a little easier to move into the college arena after high school. You can take CTA classes, those like, let's say for instance, I've got a young man who's taking law enforcement at Chattahoochee Tech. It's one of the ones we don't have here on campus. He was doing law enforcement here, but he's now also taking another one there, so he's going to go ahead and be a little bit further ahead once he graduates high school because he wants to be in law enforcement after high school. The Chattahoochee Tech deadlines are here. November 1st is the applications. Kennesaw State is actually on Halloween on October 31st. Georgia Highlands is November 1st. They all have different document deadlines. That means the other things other than just your application that have to be turned in. Those are around the middle of November, about the 15th or the 17th. Everything has to be turned in to the college, though, before they will let you register for the classes. So you have to make sure you stay on top of it and check your email. If you're doing dual enrollment, you got to check that email every day. And it's not the email that's here on campus, and it's not your personal email. Once you become a dual enrollment student, you're going to have a college email account. So you got to make sure you're checking that one so you'll know what you've got to do next. We are having a information session tonight at 6:45. It will be through Zoom. Parents and students should have received a long email from Mr. Rob Garcia yesterday. If you didn't get that and you want it, if you'll shoot me an email at jlsmith@Marietta, the whole thing, I'll get that email to you or your parents so you can have that tonight, and we'll look forward to seeing you. All right, your post-secondary options. We say here at Marietta, we want you to leave here either employed, enlisted, or enrolled. There are military, community colleges, technical schools, four-year universities, and the workforce. So we want you to leave here with a plan in place to move forward in your life. With the military, you can go part-time, you can go full-time. After 20 years, if you stay in, you can retire with full benefits, and then you can have but if let's say you used to go in at 18 plus 20 is about 38, that means you could retire from the military and go on and be 38 years old and do something else. But you also can do a lot of other things. If you're in the military, it's not just about maybe going overseas to a war zone, but you can travel. You have the GI Bill where they'll pay for your college. There are colleges through each one of the armed services that you can take classes from. There's lots of opportunities. It's just a matter of if this is good for you or if this is a good fit. And we will be having the ASVAB, which is a interest inventory test again in March. Some of you may have taken it back this fall. And I believe that Chief Alfaro will be the person again who will see to get signed up for that. All right. Community college, which back in the day when I was your age, they called it junior college. Now it's community college. An example is Georgia Highlands. I mentioned that during the dual enrollment slide. This is usually a 2-year college. You can get an associate's degree. There are some like Georgia Highlands. They have 2, I believe, bachelor's degree now. That's a 4-year commitment. But most of them are still 2-year. You get an associate's degree, and then you can transfer all those credits over to a 4-year unless you just want to use the associates to go into the workforce. A technical college like Chattahoochee Tech, that's where you're going to go and get a lot of classes that you can go straight into the workforce. You can either do what they call certificate programs where you get 1 or 2 certificates, say in automotives, welding, or HVAC. You go straight then into the workforce. And at Chattahoochee, I know they have a 95% rate of getting employers into their school to work with their students, and then you go ahead and start work with those employers if you choose to. So you could go straight from Chattahoochee with those certificates straight into a really good paying job. They do offer diplomas, which is about 1.5 years, and then they have some associate degrees as well, which is about 2 years. The credits, most of them, especially if they are core, there's a list of 28 on the website for Georgia Futures that will transfer to any other University of Georgia system colleges here in Georgia. that you can get at Chattahoochee Tech. And it's very affordable because a lot of those whether it's technical school here, or if you go out to West Georgia Tech or to Gwinnett Tech, most of the Hope Grant and such the programs as that will pay a whole 100% for those certificate programs in jobs that are lacking people to go into them because so many people are retiring and no one's going into those particular jobs. All right, you also have the 4-year. That's the big schools like UGA, Georgia Tech, Kennesaw State, LaGrange. They're bigger institutions where you can get undergraduate and graduate degrees. Some also go on up to educational specialist or specialist degrees and doctoral programs. They're typically composed of multiple colleges within the school, such as engineering, education, arts and sciences, and business. That's just a few. If you'll check out, let's say you've got a college in mind, you go to their website, they're going to have a list of different colleges listed under their particular university that you can go into and work with. All right, so even though a lot of schools are still test optional, you do have the SAT and the ACT that you may want to take. You're going to have 2 sections on the SAT, 4 sections on the ACT. It could be virtual or pen and paper for the ACT, but with the SAT, I believe it's only virtual now. No penalty for guessing, so go ahead and try your best on every single question. 1,600 max on the SAT now and 36 on the ACT. Some schools are test optional. You've got the ACT.org or the collegeboard.org. That's where you go to register. If you are a free and reduced lunch recipient, if you want to get a waiver for the ACT or the SAT, all you have to do is make an appointment with your counselor. You come up, you show us your homepage for Aspen. We will be happy to give you that. Each person gets one for each one of those to help you, so you don't have to pay for the ACT or the SAT. It's free with the waiver. You also might be eligible through SCORE to get fee waivers for college. You just have to ask for them, and it'll send your particular counselor an email, and we will be glad to fix that. Apple Ruth is where you can actually go to get test prep or work for getting better scores for your ACT or SAT. It's through your Clever. If you go down and look at your Clever page, you can go straight to the Apple Ruth. And over here on this side, it shows you've got practice tests, scores of practice testing, tracking your scores, tracking colleges, see where you might be as far as how you line up with other students. Are you making this, around the range that they are wanting for their particular college? All right, U-Science and SCORE. The U-Science is your career exploration. It's a big interest inventory, and a lot of you probably already took this, maybe, 5th grade, but you should go back and do it now because as you mature, your interest areas change, your maturity changes, your knowledge grows. So you want to go ahead and redo that. SCORE is our online platform for college networking. You can do anything from looking at anywhere. I think we have about 3,600 schools in there now. You can peruse those, kind of find ones that meet what you want, that have your major, or maybe you're wanting to go to Oregon, you're going to research schools in Oregon. It gives you all those tools to do that. If you haven't already activated that SCORE account, you were given an email at the beginning of this year. You need to go back and find that and go ahead and create your account so you can go ahead and start looking at SCORE and making a profile. All right, to access your U-Science, you're going to go through your Aspen page. You want to click Other on your Aspen page. Then you're going to click the page directory. If you don't see SLDS, go down to the page directory and add SLDS to it. Then you'll click on SLDS and go to My Career Plan. From My Career Plan, you're going to see this page, and you're going to click on the Go to U-Science. There's probably a pop-up blocker. You want to fix that, and then you're going to check anything that you need to check, like let's say that you were told about doing them, but you never checked that off. You can go ahead and check that off, and then you can go on and move into your next steps. You should see this page once you get into your youth science. If you don't see it, you need to create an account with your personal email and all your personal information, including your phone number. And I'm going to hand the mic off now so that someone else can talk and you won't look so bored.
Okay, good morning, guys. How are y'all? Good morning. Okay, so I'm going to go over a couple things with you. As y'all are juniors, y'all are going to be seniors next year. Some of the things y'all are going to be looking at is you're going to be meeting some of your graduation requirements already, right? Some of y'all have been really on top of it. You have maybe 19-something credits. So you might have some space in your schedule next year for late arrival, early release, work-based learning, dual enrollment, all of those things, which is great. But I want you guys to kind of know some of those things ahead of time so you know how to prepare. You know how last year we picked your classes for this year? So we're going to be going through that same process again. And so when you're asking about, what am I going to do with all these blank spots in my schedule? Well, one of the things you can do is work-based learning. Work-based learning is basically if you have a job or an internship, you can get credit for that. Okay? So not only are you going to get paid, not only are you going to get early release or late arrival, but you'll also get a credit. It's a great way to network. It's a great way to get involved in maybe a career or an area that you're interested in, maybe learn a little bit more, maybe try it out and then see, okay, well, I don't really like this, so I'm not going to do it for my career. So those are some of the benefits of doing something like work-based learning. If you are interested in something like that, you can send Ms. Wells an email. She is located in J Hall. And her information can also be found on the high school website. Mr. Garcia, he is our career advising and youth science support. He speaks Spanish, but he is a great person to talk to if there are some careers that you want to explore, you want to talk about, you want to see if it's a good fit for you, maybe you want to learn a little bit more about them, maybe you want to connect with somebody in that field so that you can really learn about what it's all about. So both really great resources for y'all as y'all are going into senior year. So going back to the college process, it can get a little complicated, right? So there are a lot of things, a lot of new terms, a lot of things you might have never heard before that kind of get a little confusing, right? So because it's not always just, okay, let me apply to college, let me just do that and I'll be good. There are a couple different ways to apply and be admitted to college. So when you're going through the whole process, there are two different buckets of the types of applications you can do, okay? So the first one is a non-restrictive application. So one, it's a regular decision, right? So you're gonna do a regular application, you'll submit it by whatever the date that's specified on there, and then you'll be either admitted or denied, deferred, whatever it is, but it is not commitment. It's non-binding. So that means that if I get accepted to Kennesaw State, Georgia State, UGA, I don't necessarily have to go to one of those, right? The second one is rolling admissions. They will basically look at applications the entire time and continue to accept students. So also non-binding. The other one is early action. So students apply early and receive a decision letter in advance. So that would be like something that you do probably like last week if you're a senior, right? And then by then you would have your early action decision. That is also non-binding. When we move over to the other side of that line, this is where it gets a little bit more restrictive, and these are binding, or this one is, the early decision one. It's similar to early action, where you're going to be applying and submitting all of your information early, but if you get accepted to this school, this is a binding commitment, meaning that if you're accepted, this is where you'll be going. There are some stipulations where you can get out of it, but usually that includes like paying. So you don't want to do that, right? And then, of course, there's restrictive early action. This one's not as common, but it is offered as well. So that's just something to be aware of. So as juniors, you may not have been in a lot of like the college advising stuff as much as like the seniors, right? But as y'all are moving into second semester, y'all are gonna have an opportunity to start going to more college advising appointments and presentations. So what all this is going to be about is basically how do you find a good fit for you? Not everybody is going to be wanting to go to a huge, SEC school, UGA, anything like that. Some students want to go to a smaller environment. Some students want to go in the city and in more rural areas. It kind of depends on what your preference is. So it's really important to kind of start exploring that so you know what it is that you're looking for. Not everybody needs to go to the same type of school. You have to find out what works best for you. So these two people are your college advisors. You have Mr. Brantley. His last name's A through M, and Miss Gorman is N through Z. Miss Gorman also speaks Spanish. So if your parents speak Spanish or if you speak Spanish and you want to make an appointment with her so y'all can really talk about all of this information and make a decision as a family, this is something that you could do with Miss Gorman. And what you're going to do is you're going to talk to them. You're going to talk about what your options are, what your plans are. Mr. Brantley is also our scholarship coordinator. So if you have questions about what are the scholarships out there, how do I access them, what am I eligible for, he's a great person to get in contact with. And you don't have to wait until senior year to start filling out applications for scholarships. These are things that you can start doing now so that you're not so overwhelmed with it all senior year. So Ms. Smith mentioned your score count. Have y'all heard of score counts? Some of y'all? Yeah, okay, good. So if you don't already have your score count activated, this is something that I would recommend for you to do. It does not take long at all. It takes like 2 seconds. Just go through your email. Look for your email. That's the activation link. And if you don't have that, let us know, and then we can resend it to you. So one thing that you can do in Score Now. So as you're activating your account and you're putting in all your information, you can start to build your profile. So why is this important? Because when you get to senior year and you're requesting, let's say you're requesting a recommendation letter. If I don't know you that well, maybe I don't know how to really write about you, right? Or maybe your teachers don't really know what to write about you. I want to know everything that you've done, every activity, every club, every award, anything like that. I want you to put that in there, every job. I want you to put that in there so that I know a little bit more about you so I can write a really, really well-written recommendation letter for you, okay? So that way it's stronger, so that way the colleges will see you and they'll be like a little bit more enticing, right? So that's something that you can start doing now. One thing to look at is college visits. So we do have colleges that come and visit us. We have all types of schools that come, but you can look in your score count and you can see when they're coming. And you can register for them, and then that's what you would use to go and meet with them. So you'll use that as your pass to go. They're coming all throughout the year, so it's just something that you want to keep an eye on. A lot of times, schools will keep track, or they'll at least know, okay, who's coming to see us, who's interested in us, and then that way they know when you get to senior year, okay, this is someone who has been, looking to talk to us, they're interested, they want to come to us, and maybe that's a little bit of a better way to kind of get you involved in there. Scholarships. So this is a big question that I get all the time is, where do I find scholarships? On the college advising page, there is a link, and it usually has a bunch of scholarship lists on there. It has them organized too. So it has it organized by what is the scholarship, how much money are they offering me, what are the requirements, all of that. What's the deadline? So if that's something that you're looking for, make sure you check the college advising page, because that's a great place to start. Next thing, any athletes in here? Some? Okay, perfect. If you're planning on trying to play a sport in college, one of the things that you're going to need to do is make sure you have an account with the NCAA. Why? It's because this is how you check to see if you're eligible. Not just, are you good, but are you academically eligible, right? So if you're planning on talking to coaches, recruiters, anything like that, this is something that you might want to go ahead and start checking out. You do have to create an account. It does cost some money, but if you qualify for free or reduced lunch, then sometimes you can get a waiver as well, because it is a little bit pricey. Okay, so this is something that you want to make sure you're talking to your coaches about, talking to your counselor about. Mr. Butler, Coach Butler, he's one of the counselors up in the main counseling suite. He is the one that's kind of like over it, so if you have questions about it, he's a great person to get in contact with. And then, Hope and Zell scholarships. Have y'all heard of Hope and Zell? Yes, these are really big deals, right? Why? Because they cover a lot of your college expenses. And I for one, don't want to pay for college out of pocket, right? It's very expensive. So these are two things that you can start making sure that you are qualifying for, that you're working really hard for, right? For the Hope Scholarship, so the minimum GPA requirement is a 3.0. That's a 3.0 in like the Hope calculation, right? So it's not necessarily what's on your transcript right now. It's a special calculation that Hope does. You also have to have 4 rigor credits. Now, these 4 rigor credits come from like a huge list that's on Georgia Futures, okay? But that can include classes like chemistry, Spanish 2, French 2, it can count forensic science, any of those types of classes, a higher math, an AP, an IB, all of those will count as rigor classes. However, you do want to make sure that you are meeting these requirements. How do you check this? We don't necessarily keep track of that. So what you need to do is you need to create an account with Georgia Futures. This is something that you can do right now and make sure you have it all set to go. You create an account in Georgia Futures, it'll pull up your information specifically to you. Zell requirements, it's a little bit more specific, but it covers more of your cost as well, so that's why. The Hope GPA requirement is at 3.7. You still have to have those 4 rigor credits, but you also have to meet the requirements for the SATs or the ACTs. So when you're thinking about, okay, the college that I want to go to is test optional, right? However, if my GPA is pretty good, it's pretty up there, then I want to make sure that I'm taking these tests so that I can possibly qualify for something like that. Okay, and same thing with the rigor courses. What was I going to say? I forgot. Let's see. I lost it. I don't know. But that's a big part of the Hope and Zell scholarship requirement. So just make sure you're checking on that. Oh, I remember. So as juniors, okay, this is, of course, an important year, as are all of your years. However, the way that you end this year is going to be what your colleges see whenever you start to apply, right? So if you're starting to send your applications in, your transcripts, all of that, they're going to see what's at the end of this year. So when you're going through this year, it is important to stay strong throughout the entire year so that you're ending the year in a good way and presenting yourself in a way that the colleges are going to say, okay, this person, I think we're interested in them. Okay? By the time you get to senior year and you're sending in your transcripts, well, they're not really going to see anything that you're doing your senior year, right? They're already going through the process of accepting people. So finishing out this semester and this school year strong is going to be really important for y'all. Last couple things, okay? Get organized this year. This is the year to prepare. This is the year to kind of make sure that you are on track. Make sure you're getting your credits. Make sure you're checking your emails. Check the Devil's Advocate. Do y'all check the Devil's Advocate? If you don't, you should, because that has a lot of really great information on there and a lot of really great information about things that are upcoming. So making sure you're keeping track of that, making sure you're making good relationships with your teachers, making sure you're connecting with the people that are in the school building so that you can make sure you're getting the guidance and support that you need. And schedule your college visits. You can do that starting now. You can do that over the breaks, over the summer, all of that. If you have questions about, are you on track for graduation? Make sure you make an appointment with your counselor so that you can make sure that you are in a good place. All right. I think that's all I have. Questions? Yes. Good question. So the question is for the scholarships, the Hope and the Zell, is that weighted or unweighted? So it's technically its own category. Okay, because they're going to look at your core classes and they're going to make their own calculation. So they might not be taking into account the A that you got in team sports, but they're going to look at the other grades that you got in your core classes. So that's really important. Anything else? Great question. We're going to try and send it out, and we're going to try and post it on the website as well. So I know that not everybody in the junior class here is, present, obviously. Y'all are this is a very small group. But I do ask you guys to make sure you're sharing this information. We'll try and post it soon, so yes. Okay. That's it. All right, great job, guys. Where's Dr. Mann? They're going back to advisement? Okay, make sure you're going back to your advisement class. Go quietly as people are testing, and make sure you're getting to advisement on time and not getting lost in the hallways.